Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. And today I'm talking about everybody because everybody's spying on everybody. Now I'm going to start with the governments here, but this is actually really interesting because if you didn't know, German political leaders were basically incensed back in 2013 when they learned that the United States intelligence had been eavesdropping on their chancellor, Angela Merkel, and basically monitoring her phone calls. Merkel said at the time, and I quote, "spying among friends, that just does not work," end quote. But, here's the thing, and this just came to light. At roughly the same time, Germany's Foreign Intelligence Agency was listening in on some of President Obama's calls on Air Force One. Now, this is according to a new book about the relationship between Germany and the United States. Post-World War II, Germany, initially West Germany, and then all of Germany, has had a very good relationship with the United States until recently when it started to sour. But the crux of this here is that German intelligence agency known as the BND. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that like 30-character word. Anyway, the BND discovered that some calls on Air Force One were unencrypted, and so they were able to tap into radio frequencies that were used for those calls. And this is according to the new book, The Grown-Up Country, Germany Without America, A Historic Opportunity. This is by Holger Stark, a German journalist. Now, a former senior German administration official confirmed to the Washington Post that verbal reports of the Air Force One surveillance circulated in the chancellor's office at that time. The intelligence gained was described as, quote unquote, an incidental bycatch, end quote, rather than a deliberate operation targeting the president at that time, again, President Obama, according to the official who spoke on the condition of anonymity. That is in stark difference to the actual concerted effort that essentially the United States made to eavesdrop on Angela Merkel, again, chancellor at the time. So, if anything, I think this underscores the need for continuous reviews of secured infrastructure, or what we think is secured infrastructure, and then obviously continuously updating and hardening and improving that secure infrastructure. And I would like to think that Air Force One right now in 2026, again, 13 years after that incident, now has all radio transmissions encrypted, so it can't be easily eavesdropped on. But looking back at the last 10 years, I did my homework. We have seen some spectacular breaches of government's privacy at the hands of other governments. And so I went looking, like I said, and did my homework, and since 2016, here are some of the most interesting ones from around the world. And you will note the United States is involved in quite a few of these. So in 2016, the NSA basically was caught eavesdropping on foreign leaders. These were documents that were published to WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks, these multiple foreign leaders, also included Angela Merkel as well. So 3 years after the eavesdropping was discovered, this was all published in WikiLeaks, which is why this all came to light. So it was reported by major outlets. In 2019, the United Arab Emirates had something called Project Raven that reportedly hacked into the Emir of Qatar's phone. And so the UAE basically targeted the Emir of Qatar and other Qatari government-linked targets as well. And basically, they were caught because a Reuters investigation reported basically on program documents and former operatives' accounts describing hacking activity tied to UAE-directed operations. So the UAE also involved in this as well. In 2019, Israel was accused of deploying cell phone surveillance devices near the White House in Washington, D.C. That's right, Israel was apparently spying on the United States. The target was U.S. government and potential proximity collection affecting senior officials. Now, reporting at the time framed it as spying on sensitive sites, including the White House. And they were basically caught due to this reporting, citing former U.S. officials and discovery of suspected cell site simulator devices. Israel obviously denied the claim, but basically the claim was they were putting up fake cell towers, and if it's by the White House, let's say the White House cell phone on AT&T, Verizon, whatever, would connect to the fake cell tower, and now they could eavesdrop and capture that data as it was basically being routed through their fake tower to an actual legitimate one. In 2021, we saw Operation Dunhammer. This is the United States combined, interestingly enough, with the Danes. That's right, we're going to Denmark for this one because they were spying on European leaders. So the NSA, obviously the United States, was enabled to spy via Denmark's signal intelligence access. This was also reported on. The targets were senior European officials, including Angela Merkel, because apparently she's the most interesting person in the history of the modern era. Everybody wants to eavesdrop on her. And again, Germany being a major power in the world as well, right? And for the record, they were also targeting other neighboring countries to Germany and Denmark. And basically, they were caught due to reporting based on a Danish intelligence investigation. And then Reuters basically was the one that really broke it, and then other outlets followed along. In 2021, you might remember Pegasus and the Pegasus Project. Apparently, French President Emmanuel Macron was identified as a target of Pegasus. This is the infection that were hitting iPhones that would give attackers remote access to basically everything in the iPhone. And the alleged spy in this case was Morocco. And they were apparently using, essentially, Pegasus to spy on the French president. That's kind of crazy. And basically, if you recall, a consortium of news outlets got together and basically figured this one out and broke the whole thing. Reuters was the one that covered the claim and official reactions. Morocco obviously denied this. In 2022, Spain disclosed Pegasus infections as well on their prime minister and their defense minister's phones, and they attributed this reporting basically to Morocco. In other words, Morocco was also spying on Spain, which, to be fair, is the country directly north of them. So, here we are, right? But the Spanish government basically disclosed this publicly and pointed the finger at Morocco, and so that's essentially how that was exposed. In 2023, we had a dispute between Canada and India. Basically, this included reporting that Canadian intelligence had surveilled Indian diplomats, basically a state-on-state monitoring here, and the alleged spy Canada basically was referenced in major reporting as part of the intelligence behind these public allegations made by the Modi government. Modi obviously being the head of India's government. And so Indian diplomats were targeted, not a foreign leader in this case, but cross-government electronic surveillance basically happened, and essentially reporting that Five Eyes intelligence sharing, because Canada's part of Five Eyes, contributed to Canada's assertions, and a lot of this is non-public. But the point is, everybody's spying on everybody, and I think this is something that we really need to get a handle on. It's going to continue. I mean, we know that the Chinese and the Russians and the United States, obviously I've mentioned the United States multiple times, but even, Canada and Denmark and Morocco, who would think of Morocco, are spying. And so I think this is something that we just need to be aware of. And while we all enjoy, let's say, movies about spying and all this kind of stuff, I think it's important to understand that there are real lives at play here, not to mention government privacy and secrecy. And if you are any kind of patriot, wherever your government is, you would want to make sure that your government is secure from foreign eavesdropping. I mean, I think that's true of the world. So there we go. That is your news of the day. I just thought this would be an interesting one. And so everybody's spying on everybody, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, please, please attempt to stay private, informed, and secure. Take care.